Somewhere in your chest, on your sweetheart hit a mist. Somewhere in your chest, somewhere in your chest, using all that's left. Somewhere in your chest, all your sweetheart hidden is.
Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. It's your boy Josh.
And Reg.
And we're grateful to be back on with you yet again. It's a Tuesday night, which is different from a Thursday night live, but hey, who gives a crap? We're together. Happy to be with you tonight. We have some things to talk about. Well, we know that the conversation where we had Polyev going hard on tax havens today and then flipped over to Carney saying, I love tax havens. We're going to keep those things going. That's the story of today, and as well as some additional conversations and things that have come up where politics are getting greasy. Politics are getting dirty. Are people reaching for hope, or are they reaching for fear? That is going to be the conversation and the theme of this year's election. Reg, how you feeling, big dog?
Feeling good. Man, that was an electric rally last night watching that when you could watch it.
Yes.
Because you guys crashed the cell towers. I mean, it was funny reading some of the left-wing media reports on it, and they're like, supposedly reported possibly 15,000 people. And it was just like this irk to even like acknowledge that it was that large. Yeah. Just they're like potentially 9,000. It was like, give me a break. They had 10 that had signed up, let alone the fact that they had packed that place out. And like I said, the infrastructure in the area couldn't even keep up with the amount of users that they had. That alone would tell you something. But man, they were hating that.
Absolutely. Well, I think even the bigger story too is the fact that they packed that place out. One. But two, the fact it's in the middle of some industrial park where it's not next to really any serious infrastructure to get loads of people out to. And people are walking for, because we're in Canada, kilometers trying to get to this place. And that just shows you my broken glass theory. Liberals, if it's raining, they'll stay home. But if it's raining raining hail, raining hellfire on us with broken glass, conservatives will crawl over that, embrace it because they need and desire change so much more than I think liberals' hate for Trump is. I will say that much.
I wish that you had a button on there that would just play "It's raining men" when you said that, because I was like, that's all that was going through my ADHD mind.
YouTube would copyright us so hard if I did that.
Oh, true.
Like, that's a tough thing now. We have a show that's like semi-successful. We have things that we will actually get docked for now these days. Bummer. But we are looking forward to kind of touching all these stories, some of these different things that Carney has said, alluded to, some articles we're going to touch on. We are going to try and hit the super chats and the general chat as we go, as best we can. We are going to do, as usual, we will be hitting the topic, talking the topic. Me and Reg will be engaging in a typical podcast format. Then we'll flip it over to you guys and have a conversation over those things. And please, if you haven't already, if you're just joining the podcast, joining the live stream, a lot of you guys are OGs and you love the show, and we love you for loving the show. But if you're on this podcast right now and you're looking at this dang good fellow, looking so handsome, and I'm talking about Reg, not me, and you're just like, dang, these guys are awesome, I like what they're talking about, please hit the subscribe button. We are just less than 300 subs away from hitting 100K, and it wasn't the plan tonight. It wasn't the plan to make this a 100K podcast, but we just might make history tonight, baby. So we'll see how it goes. Holy smokes.
Wouldn't that be nice? And it was funny because Josh and I have had a phone call about this, and I was like, Josh, we're going to get 100 before you get your baby. And you're like, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I'm like, we're going to get that 100 before you get your baby.
Yeah, I'm hoping we hit. That'd be nice. It's we'll see. Kelsey's probably dropping babies here fairly soon. But okay, all right. Pleb just dropped in the chat, and with $20, get this channel to 100,000 subscribers tonight. Thank you, Pleb. Let's go. 100%. Let's go. Thank you for the support, big dog.
Thank you, sir. I had to laugh. I was watching your stream last night from Alberta, and one of the commenters dropped quite a big super chat, and they're like, get him some proper equipment. Here you go. Here's some money. And it was like, it's not his fault, man. I think the towers are overloaded.
Dude, they did that to all of us. They did that to me. They did that to Jasmine. I'm like, yo, we are working on a shoestring budget out here, folks. We're doing our best. And it's just, yeah, the data is the data. And we'll do, I think it's like, I love what Pleb was doing. Is just going into the audience, talking to the people, getting the vibe on the ground. I think that was really valuable to people watching at home. It's, you can stand on the podium like I did and view from the perspective of a CPAC or CBC, but they're already doing that. And quite frankly, their cameras are nicer. But going into the crowd, talking to people, gaining the excitement of the crowd, I think is actually way more valuable than just sitting in the podium and recording with your phone.
Definitely, for sure.
Okay, we got some stuff to talk about. We need Elon satellites. Holy jumping, y'all are awesome. So here we go, folks. We have some tax haven stuff to talk about. So today we caught Polyev talking about how he's going to really lay the smacker down on tax havens. And well, quite frankly, let's talk some realism on that. Nothing's going to happen. I love the energy and I loved him talking about it, but the reality is you can't do that. It's just, it is what it is. We can talk about the ethics and the morale or the moral ideas behind tax avoidance and putting things through Bermuda. But the idea of making a shame list, the idea of we are going to make sure we only go after the rich. I'm like, we sound like the NDP right now, and I'm like, there's no way. I don't see it happening. However, I did like the idea of like, all right, let's ease up on trying to shake the working class for every dime they're worth. I did agree with him. Like, yeah, we can't be doing that either. But just the logistics behind like create a shame list or going after them. It was 100%. This is where you needed to be able to divide politics from reality and what's happening. And today was a political move on Poilievre's point. Because what he did, he's talking to the crowd, he's talking to the reporters and saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to come down hard on people who are tax avoiding to Bermuda. And what happens? Flip over to Mark Carney. Hey, you talk about these tax havens, and this is what his response was to that question.
Abigail Beeman, CTV News. On tax havens in relation to Brookfield, you've said that you know how the world works. Should Canadians infer from that you wouldn't condemn the use of tax havens?
I've very strong. I have a long career in the private sector. I've a longer career in the public sector. What's important is that we have a effective tax system, and that every company follows the rules of those tax to not just the letter but the spirit of those regulations. And we need to continue to refine our tax system to ensure that companies are paying their fair share of tax.
Well, that was. I think we're going to get the repeal of Bill C-69 before we actually get the real answer to that.
that was so painful. I loved watching the hamster wheel turn there. Like the you're like, man, come on, spit it out. We know that you're crooked.
Yeah.
Like, don't even try. Just say something and shut down that reporter because that's what you like to do.
Well, I know, because I know here we're in a bilingual country here in Canada, right? We speak French and then we hit English. We have the translator. So we're going to do the translation for whatever the heck that was. And that was, I'm not doing jack. And I'm going to keep my money where it is and you're going to have to deal with it. And that's what happened there.
Yeah, just I've had a long career in private and a long career in public. And look at my resume, please. Stop asking me questions. That's literally what that question and answer was. It was, don't you think it's awful shady that you're ripping off Canadians? I am a good person. Cool.
I came back to politics for you, the people. Did you? Did you really? You haven't been here for 10 years. Did you really care about Canada? Did you care about Canada when you moved Brookfield down to New York? Did you care about Canada when you... you know what? Screw you. That's what I say about that. Brain gap there, but that's just how it goes.
A Carney moment, if you will.
I really did. I can't look down on him. What can I say? We all have it the best of us, but I at least could give a straight answer to that if I was honest. The reality is he wasn't. He knows exactly got caught.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that he lies, and he lies incessantly, and it's really hard to keep up a lie in the moment when you're being asked about it. So he's there searching for the right words to put together to try and prolong this lie. And it shows because he's actively thinking, and you can see the thinking happening in real time, and it's embarrassing. And this is why I'm like, get this man as far away from decision-making power as humanly possible, because he's not there for Canadians. He's there for our wallets. And it's like, I just keep playing that stupid commercial in my head. It's like, what's in your wallet? Yeah. It's like, that's literally the question he's asking. Like, how much? How can I take it? Because I'm going to put all this spending out there that's going to push money into private companies that I just conveniently have investments in. And you're going to pay for it. And it's going to be great. So that when I leave this place in a dumpster fire and head back over across the pond to jolly old England again with my giraffe there, we're going to sit down and it's going to be great because we are going to earn all the money from the Canadian people.
Man, this guy just went to the zoo today. Gee. Oh, he's jumping.
I did just watch Madagascar with my daughter. I'm not going to lie.
Iconic. But that's exactly what we're witnessing. To a degree, you didn't see it in the States. This is why this one's very egregious. Where you had in America where they tried to kind of install Kamala. In this case, we're actually witnessing the World Economic Forum try to install a globalist into our politics. There's like, hey, we penetrated their cabinet. Why not penetrate the prime minister?
Ew.
Hey, just using the words they use. All right.
That was like the question that they asked Pierre today. I was like, wow.
She knew what she was doing.
She knew exactly what she was doing. The size matters comment. And I was like, they couldn't even keep it together. Everybody laughed. I was like, you know what I liked about that? I was like, okay, it shows there's some humanity here that we can all laugh at a wiener joke. Like, thank you. I thought actually, I was like, you know what? That actually creates some humanity. And I think it does a really good thing because when you can break that tension with a joke or a laugh or something like that, I think that's actually really, really helpful for the campaign. I think it shows that, okay, he's like us. He's not this elitist that is above a dirty joke kind of thing. And I just thought there was really good banter between him and the reporters today.
That's like 100%. That's kind of how I felt in general, where I covered on my show this afternoon, where I gave kudos to both sides on that. I give kudos to the reporter to keeping it light, keeping it fun, because there has been a very huge tension between Poilievre and the media. And for her to kind of like open up with that, and then for Poilievre to kind of banter back and laugh with her, I thought it was actually fantastic. But the part I want to get to is the fact that the Liberals are running with it, because that's all they had, was he's comparing himself to Trump. He's like Trump. He's talking about crowd sizes. He's so Trump. That's all you got. So you got from the Rachel Gilmores of the world. It's how you got from the girl from Globe and Mail, Cycle, whatever her last name is. Just all those tweets start coming out, and then it was just boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh, classic, like clockwork, you jabronis. That's all you had today. Couldn't talk about the tax havens. No. Couldn't fact check the tax havens. No. But we're going to talk about, you compared the crowd sizes. Dude, if you had 15,000 people coming to an event for you, I don't know, I'd be talking about it.
Oh yeah,
I'd be like, whoa, look at us go. Like, I have 2,000 people on this stream right now, and I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Like, I'm going to talk about it. That's nuts.
Yeah, and the other part of it too is, like I said last night, I'm like, he's like commanding Taylor Swift size concerts, and he's a politician. Like, this is ridiculous.
100%. Let's look over the old chat because it's flying high over here. All right. Oh, here we go. The pleb just dropping cash on us today. Pleb says, standing with the press is boring. I like being with the people. Thanks,
Agreed.
Straight. Yeah,
Agreed.
that came through very clearly. Goko Donnie says, grab a pint on me for making 100K. Thank you. We'll not even touch that cash until we hit 100K. Nancy says, United we stand Canada. Let's bring it home and vote Polyev. King Mad Hatter says, diaper fun for Josh. I had my daughter at your age and she'll be 2 before the end of the month. Let's go. You and me both, brother. Come on.
Oh, that's awesome. So your kid is basically the same age as my kid then. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just me, Nicole, coming in hot as per usual. Good evening, everyone. Hit the like to push the channel out, guys. Let's go. The pleb says, pause. Carney is a dummy. True. Suzanne Bond says, you are amazing. Portuguese Pie says, let's go, boys. 100K today. Woot woot. And PT93 Music, if Pierre visits HFX, we need you and pleb to cover it. Oh, we'll 100% be there.
Oh,
at least,
of course.
At least Reg will be there.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, you might be doing dad things, but I'll definitely be there, and we'll make sure that we connect with the homies. Don't worry about
don't
that.
make the same mistake I made in Fredericton.
Yeah.
go be with the people. Go be with the people. It'll be fantastic. So, what was for you today, Reg? What was kind of the big things that stuck out today out of everything that happened?
I think it was what I sent you and what you've already got prepared.
Let's do it. Let's get into it then.
So looking at what came across my National Post feed, the Liberal candidate compares Pierre Poilievre rallies to protests akin to the Freedom Convoy. That to me, just like, I was like, here it is. Here's exactly what they're going to do. We've got Vancouver Ken over here, trying to go out there and basically tell everybody that anybody who goes to a Pierre Poilievre rally is obviously some extremist, fascist, crazy, Canada-hating, Nazi is basically what they're trying to label us all as. And like, this is absurd. Like, this is the rhetoric that we're seeing out of the left. Like, you can't even go to a political rally for the opposite party now without being compared to, something that they think was terrible. Yeah. Which, in my opinion, wasn't terrible at all. It was an expression of people's disdain for government overreach, but they don't see it that way. Yeah. So it was actually made me mad when I sent it to you, because I was like, holy crap. I was like, I need to send this to Jasmine and to Josh.
No, dang straight. You would be great to be accurate to feel that way. It is frustrating. But I also see it from an interesting, a positive perspective, is we get to put it on our show for the thousands and thousands of listeners, and we get to point and laugh at them because this is stupid. And you look like a moron in the process. And it just shows how out to lunch they really are. And the way this also reminded me, post this up. Actually, no, I'm going to give it back to you here, Reg. I'm going to just pop this up quickly. It'll take me 5 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. But basically, when you read through the article, he's basically making all these assumptions and comparisons, exactly what I was saying, where he's basically conflating the idea of somebody who is going to a conservative rally as far right, and making all the assumptions about what a far right person is. And it's funny because like we even said on the show, I think a couple months back, and I was like, am I far right? Because like I actually I like my country. I don't want to be taxed to death. I want to see good social programs in place, but not things that are going to be, put us into the ground financially. I wanted to see responsible government. And then it's like, oh, I guess that's far right. Yeah. Wild though. So it's like, I was initially mad because I knew what the intent was, but you're right. In essence, when you look at this and you go, should you be that mad? Because realistically, it's it doesn't make any sense, honestly.
No, and they were on one today. Adam Van Couverden said the exact same thing in the same vein. Again, to poo-poo on the crowd sizes, poo-poo on the Conservatives and the momentum they have. Adam Van Couverden, Liberal MP, says, congrats to Pierre Poilievre on his endorsement from Stephen Harper. He joins the felons like Conrad Black, conspiracy fraudsters like Alex Jones, Nazi saluters like Elon Musk, and far-right influencers Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, and Ben Shapiro. It's good company. And you, my friend, look like a fool. Really, that's the, you're going to compare Stephen Harper and just throw out a bunch of random people that you think are bad, that you think have bad names, and try to bring it all together. That is classic left-wing ideology and left-wing tactics to try and smear people for absolutely no reason other than the fact that you don't like them and they're in the way of you gaining power.
Yeah, and I want to jump into these people here. Like Elon Musk, the dude put up Starlink. The guy wants to give free internet to the world. Created Tesla, put out the patents so that everybody could create charging stations that would be compatible so that we'd have a electrified system across the world because he wanted to end pollution from vehicles. Like, what part of that? I just don't get the left right now. And then he enters into government under the Doge regime and basically exposes all the fraud and waste and lies of the previous governments. And people are hating him for that. Granted, there's a few things that he did that I'm like, yeah, that's kind of demoralizing if you're a government worker in the States right now. Right. So I'm not crazy about that. But for the most part, we all have our problems. But for the most part, I'm like, this guy's doing everything that you would want. He's attacking the elites and the wealthy. That's a left-wing thing to support. He's built a company that's based off of green energy. That's a left-wing idea. And it's crazy. And they're carving swastikas into Cybertrucks and burning Tesla lots, just absolute madness. And then you got Jordan Peterson, who is out there speaking against identity politics and saying this needs to be removed from the classroom, needs to be removed from politics. Joe Rogan, who interviews literally everyone because he thinks that they should all get a fair shake. Ben Shapiro, yeah, he's pretty right. I don't mind his stuff, and I've watched his stuff, and I've been like, yeah, sure. But at the same time, I also recognize that he's speaking to a certain audience too. I mean,
also talk about, if you really want to talk about the elbows up crowd, then let's talk about Adam Van Couverden. Ben Shapiro is actually one of the few conservative voices who are speaking against Trump and the tariffs on Canada right now.
Yeah.
I thought that we wanted those off. Wait, I thought we wanted those off. Oh, right. No, you need them there for you to try and win this election. Because if that goes away, so does your base and any other potential opportunity you have to win. So get out of my face. I would just, you know what? I don't even recognize your gold medal. I don't even recognize it anymore. I'm done with you, man. You are causing so much division and fear in our population that I don't even want to recognize you anymore. Out of my face.
Would you say you don't identify him as a winner anymore?
Holy jumping. Something like that. Let's jump into the latest super chats here. Holy jumping. We got some catch up to do. All right. Just me, Nicole says, don't blink. Kids grow fast. Mine are 32 and 35. Whew. Dude, that time must go by quickly. That's crazy.
It does, man. I'm witnessing it in real time, and I'm like, oh man, all the parents out there, you're right. Yeah. It's so fast. She was running around the island in the kitchen tonight, and I was like, man, you're speaking in complete sentences. You know what you want. You have personality and attitude. I'm like, holy crap. You're a full person. And right. You just turned 2 last month.
Unreal.
It's really cool. It's wild. Thank you, Nicole, honestly.
Absolutely. Portuguese Pie says, isn't that the clown that Pierre's been saying is crazy extreme? Also, that sounds like words to unite us all for sure. I mean, that's the Liberal Party these days. They are the party of unity. Oh, wait, no, they aren't. They're a party of division so that they can try to split up Canadians, pit them against each other so that they can maintain power and keep us focused on each other rather than the actual issues that they have been creating with their policies. RC Lamoureux says, most people believe we're given a choice on who will be the best to run Canada. The politicians are vying for leadership of their grift club and you aren't in it. It's a uniparty. PP will slow the grift. Here's the thing, folks. I was just talking to Sean Newman's podcast, and we're talking about this thing specifically. So we can see this right now. I will address RC. He's likely a PPC supporter, and I understand where he's coming from. Here's the thing. If it really was a uniparty, if it really was a huge issue, and Pierre Poilievre was just another establishment shill, I don't think the Liberals would be going as hard at him and his followers as much as they have been. He is highlighting people's real problems with the establishment, with the elites. And the liberals don't like that because they are the party of elites. If he was a part of that party, if he was a part of that group, CBC wouldn't be going at him as hard. And he also wouldn't be going at CBC as hard. You wouldn't see our media be weaponized against him and the Conservative Party right now. You wouldn't see the pollsters weaponized against him and their party right now. Everything is against and slanted towards against the Conservatives in this country. I'm sorry, I can't buy that. Because if he really was pro-establishment, they would be kind of like how they're treating Aaron O'Toole.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, like he's good. Yeah, I don't really have any too big issues with him. Our debates would have been what the liberal leadership debates are going to be like, or were like. That's what this would have been.
What's also interesting too is that suddenly everybody has all this love for Aaron O'Toole because he lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
You're a loser.
It's weird how, suddenly everybody's, oh, Aaron O'Toole was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Nobody thought that when he was running.
No.
Because we would have an Aaron O'Toole government right now. Mm-hmm. So I will rescind a little bit of that because I think that he did actually win the popular vote, if I remember correctly.
He did.
But not enough to actually form government. And so what I find interesting is that, everybody who is on the left now being like, well, if they had a person more like Aaron O'Toole, then maybe I would have voted. No, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have.
Yeah, you didn't vote. You didn't vote for him. And even then, because I even compared this election to the 2021 election. And what I'm seeing is it is nowhere as greasy or as messy as this one's been.
Yeah.
It was nowhere near that. And it was a very clean, kind of respectful run, as much as Trudeau didn't deserve to be treated with respect. O'Toole did. And people saw through that and were upset because they saw what Trudeau was doing. And that's why O'Toole lost. He just was trying too hard to be nice. And quite frankly, he was, in my mind, a part of the Uniparty. I'll be honest. And we're seeing that with the Conservative Party. There is right now, from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, there's a war going on with that Conservative Party right now between what our Canadian equivalent of rhinos are, or people who just want to maintain the status quo, don't want to cause too many rifts, because they actually enjoy being the opponents rather than actually forming government. And then you have people who support Pierre Poilievre and support the message, who are telling those guys to get out of the way and trying to make some serious change. And there's a battle happening right now. So it's interesting to watch. Anything you want to add to that, Reg?
No, you got her.
All right. Yeah, Reg doesn't want to get in trouble tonight. Here we go.
I already buried myself earlier in the show, so we're fine.
First set, ready to go. So Bill C-69 came up in conversation and repealing it. And we got another nothing answer from Mark Carney on if you'd repeal it or not, considering he says he's big energy. Well, we'll see.
Hi, Jared Yeager here with the Western Standard. So yesterday at your rally, you said Pierre Poilievre's plan is to, quote, divide and be conquered. As of now, Canada is reliant on the U.S. to get our own oil from one side of the country to the other. By not repealing Bill C-69 and allowing Quebec to veto a pipeline across Canada, are you not yourself setting up Canada to be divided and conquered?
Absolutely not. In fact, in the premise of your question, you answer it, which is, if we are going to build, and I am a proponent of building big energy infrastructure in this country, but if we are going to build big energy infrastructure in this country, there is a we in that. It is not imposed. It is not imposed by the federal government. It's not imposed by an opposition politician. It's not imposed by a company. It requires the support of, in the example you gave, in Energy East of Quebec, the other provinces that are affected. It requires the support, the free, prior, and informed consent of First Nations. So that's the exact opposite, which is that coming together to build. Now, what I've proposed, both at the First Minister's level and more broadly, is that we as a country use this crisis to identify those projects of national interest, many of which, not all of which, but many of which are energy infrastructure projects, so that we can get those agreements, so that we can come together and we can accelerate. And last point, with respect to C-69,
here we go.
what I've also been clear about is the ability under C-69, not as it was, but as it is, and the Minister of Natural Resources, Mr. Wilkinson, is here, as it is under his leadership. We have an ability to rely on, as appropriate, impact assessments that are performed at different levels of government. And that is part and parcel of how we can make this work.
So here, that was a 2-minute long answer saying no, he will not repeal it. He believes in big energy infrastructure projects, except for he doesn't. So what happens with Bill C-69, completely designed to increase as much bureaucracy and red tape as possible so that projects don't get through. The people who are proposing the projects get discouraged, they get tired, they run out of money, and it doesn't end up happening. They say, we're for big energy, but then they hide behind Bill C-69, hoping that people get exhausted, run against the grind, and they end up not developing any actual energy projects, and they will continue to fulfill the green energy idea and agenda, and that's kind of why it needs to be repealed and why they're not committing to repealing it.
So I see two options here. We have Carney gets forced basically to build this pipeline Energy East across the country because we realize that we cannot have a pipeline running down into the States to come back to Ontario to support Ontario and Quebec with natural gas. Mm-hmm. And he actually gets his crap together and has to build this pipeline, which means, in fact, that Bill C-69 was a joke. And so he's actually contravening his own law. Or he upholds the stupid law that they put in place and they don't build it. And he's a liar. So either way, he's either lying about the usefulness of the law or he's lying about what he's going to do about this law. And I guess the third option is that he just decides whether or not he's going to follow the law here and not over here and claim one's in national interest, one's not. And it's just going to make it a really challenging landscape for any kind of energy development in our country because it will be like, does C-69 apply or will it not? Maybe if I take him out to golf and dinner, then it won't for this one, but this one may not. So this is where I see this government being such a shill for corporate interest and not Canadian corporate interest even. Like we're talking about global corporate interest, the BlackRocks and his new company that he's moved to the States. So the Brookfields, it's BlackRock light. He's like, he looked at BlackRock and went, we can do that.
Yeah.
And we'll build it off the backs of the Canadian people. So I see this going in those directions of like, he will either stand behind this bill, not build anything, or he'll keep the bill and ignore it when it suits his interests.
Yeah, I thought Ezra Levant put it very well. He was on Tim Pool's show last night down in the States, and he was talking about kind of what's happening here in Canada, what's been going on, and that's exactly what he likened. He was trying to explain what Brookfield was to the American audience, and he's like, they're just a baby BlackRock.
Yeah,
that's what they are. And I was like, that's a perfect description of who they are. And then he's just, he's like, imagine the CEO of BlackRock got installed into the presidency. And now he's trying to pass policy that is benefiting BlackRock. That's exactly what we're seeing here.
Yeah.
And it just like, it kind of is putting light bulbs on for the American viewers. It's like, oh my gosh, like how corrupt is your system up there? What is going on? And we're just like, we're trying to tell you how crazy it is. It is nuts. And he's trying to hoodwink the Canadian people like, oh, I'm the right guy. I'm an outsider. Yeah, you are. You've been outside the country. That's where you've been. And that is currently what we are witnessing right now. And even what happened to Ezra and, Rebel News and Rumble in Toronto was mind-boggling what they did. Did you hear this story?
I didn't hear this story. Tell me.
Dude, unreal. So they were doing like a big, pro-freedom of speech rally in Toronto. I believe it was in Toronto. And they were bringing in a bunch of kind of American influencers and you bring some Canadian influencers. And they told the person who like oversaw the property, he was like, hey, just a heads up. Like they put it in the contract, like you cannot revoke our license at any point, if anything has anything to do with freedom of speech, like if anyone's trying to put pressure on you, you cannot revoke our contract. It's just got to be the way it is. And the guy was like, and again, he's kind of like a normal guy who just doesn't really follow politics. Like that's kind of weird, but I'll sign it. I would never do that. Signs it. And then the pressure from like the Antifas of the world kind of came, but it was like really soft. It wasn't anything crazy. What was the crazy part about it though, is again, it's the sole owner just running the show, trying to make some money off an event for himself. The problem is the event used to be a former army base for the Canadian government. And actually the property itself is owned still by the government. And so what happened is the government itself came in with with a bill to try and not a bill, but using lingo to try and get them to have to pay $40,000 more to bring extra security because it could be a violent event. And, Rumble still put up the money. It was all fine, but they put a FOIA act in, Freedom of Information, and seeing what happened. Turns out these government employees were all emailing each other saying, okay, we can't get them on this, but we can get them on this. We can get them revoked for this reason. Like actually having an email chain of how they're going to get this event shut down. Government employees.
Yeah.
And they're going to court and sue the government over it now.
Good for them.
Crazy.
That does not surprise me in the least.
Yeah.
It's just the government overreach into every part of our lives has just been absolutely wild. And people just are looking at this going, oh, no, like it's fine because it's the government we like. And fine. Okay. We can run with that. You view this government as the government you like, and you think that any measure that they take, no matter how egregious, is fine because it's in service of your interests. Let's change that government then. And we will apply the same rules to the government that you don't like. What happens then? Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, that's not right. I'm like, well, you can't have it one way for one group and then a different way for the other group. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And you just see the brain melting, but bad. And it's like, no, you cannot make a rule for this one group and say, you're not allowed to speak. Only we're allowed to speak. And then when you flip the government and they do that to you, then suddenly you're a victim. It's like, no.
Yeah, that's the problem with where politics has gone to this point where things have gotten so drastic to the point where you have people who are willing and ready to talk politics, which is great, but it's not about your policy versus my policy anymore. It's people have it in their minds that it's good versus evil.
It is, yeah.
And they'll do whatever it takes. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll steal because in their minds, it's for the good. So as long as we get rid of the bad guys, I'll do whatever it takes. I can justify my mind to do heinous things to people because I feel like it's the right thing to do. And that's the problem that we're having. And it's in our politics. And our politicians are actively doing. We saw Adam Vancouver and the crap he's saying. These people believe it. They'll continue to justify the means. So,
yeah. And what's wild too is that it's all of the same rhetoric from this propaganda, psychological campaign that we're seeing, right? It's these massive actions to take against this party where they put it into the minds of the people that Pierre is Trump. Pierre will remove women's rights. Pierre will lock up all the gays and remove gay marriage. All these things that we know that won't happen, but they keep putting it out there. And the amount of images that I'm seeing come across social media of Pierre's face, Trump's face, and a picture from The Handmaid's Tale together. There's a bunch of them now that are all different. There's multiple ones. I'm like, is this a conservative, or sorry, not a conservative, is this a liberal, paid person that is just actively putting out this content there? Or is this actually somebody who really truly believes this to be so and then influencing everybody else around them? Who knows at this point, right? And you've got the media so slanted that it's supporting all these narratives. So then when you have good people reading all this information, seeing that kind of bombastic imagery, they're being influenced by that, and it's not their fault. That's the part that I think is wild, is that I have so much love and care for my liberal friends and liberal supporters because it's really not their fault. They're being completely overwhelmed by the media and looking at this going, okay, well, if literally everybody in all the media I'm consuming is saying that this is the way it is, then it must be true. And even though in my mind, I don't think that that's actually right, I must be wrong. And then they start questioning themselves. I had a moment like that, early on, where I was just like, am I wrong here? I started to question my own beliefs and things how is everybody saying this right? And then when the corrections come out and the changes come out and then it's oh, sorry, we actually slanted that and here's the evidence. You're like, okay, so no, I was just being gaslit that hard that I started to question my own perception of reality. So I have all the empathy in the world for these voters who are truly fearful. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation last night with a friend of mine, and she's a liberal supporter, and she's like, here's what I am afraid of. Laid it all out. And she's like, I don't love the idea of Carney. She's like, but I am so afraid of what might happen under Pierre Poilievre. because of what I'm seeing and hearing and being told. And I'm like, that to me is the damaging part of this. And luckily, because we have such a good relationship, we're able to kind of like work through that and still be close. But the problem is that there's a lot of people who are not able to do that, and they're just getting completely shut out. And there's also a thing on the left where it's like, don't waste your energy. And like, you know, cut that person out. And it's like, I hate that exclusionary isolation, like cultish behavior of, you know, distance yourself from your friends and family, distance yourself from people who have different ideology. And that's kind of what's being run right now. It's this fear-based platform, and it's very, I won't say it's working, but I will say it's very pervasive and very compelling for some folks who believe it.
Yeah. And a lot of people who've like left the left and gone to like, you know, the Conservative Party or whatever it has been, all have a similar story where at some point in their journey, they, as you said, were believing all the things that they were seeing. And then all of a sudden something there was like a trip in the matrix, and I was like, whoa, wait a second. That doesn't align with anything that I've been told. And people have a decision in that moment. Either they continue on with, again, it's classic Matrix reference here. They can continue on with the lie they've been told and the facade of what's going on, or they can be like, okay, I'm going to dig deeper and try to flip this on its head and try to understand what's actually going on here. There's a lot of people who have done the former, and a lot of people have done the latter. And this is where we're seeing the stark divide right now too. I had one of those moments myself. It was during the pandemic. I was home because I was doing my 2 weeks because Kelsey went home to the States and came back, and we all had to, you know, do our thing for the 2 weeks or whatever. And I was watching all the stuff that happened with George Floyd, and, you know, the protests broke out and the things were happening. And I was kind of stunned because like that was the whole harp. It was like, you got to stay home. You can't meet with people. And then protests broke out, and the news started saying, yeah, it's okay for them to protest because this is an important issue. I was like, wait, you've been telling me we can't meet. I can't hang out with my friends. I can't be with my family because this virus is so deadly. But people can get out in the streets and be together in very close proximity, and it's all fine because their cause matters. That was my trip in the Matrix. I was like, whoa. What is happening? And then that's when I went on my journey. So it's kind of interesting how it all works that way.
Yeah, it's wild because I feel like I bent the spoon too when I was working in the labs and we worked with molecular specimens. And when I was hearing about the vaccines, because I was like, okay, which one do I need to get? Which one? I see AstraZeneca, I see Moderna, I see Pfizer. Pfizer is supposed to be stored in a -80 fridge. Moderna is supposed to be stored in -20. AstraZeneca is apparently shelf stable. Like, I'm just looking at all this stuff going, that doesn't quite add up, because in molecular biology, you have to keep things at a certain temperature in order for the molecules to not break apart so that they stay stable. And so I'm looking at all this and I'm like scratching my head, and I've got the government saying to me, they're all the same. I'm like, well, they fundamentally can't be all the same, because if they were all the same, they would all have to have the same kind of carrying procedures. And so my brain, having that scientific background of working in a hospital lab, going, no, molecular specimens have to be kept at this temperature. And you're telling me it's okay for these vaccines that are built off of RNA are allowed to be kept this. I just, like, it melted my brain a little bit. I'm like, this doesn't smell right. Something's a little bit wrong here. And I remember trying to express to a professor at the university, because I was doing my master's at the time, and I was confiding in her, and I was saying, I'm actually really stressed out right now because, my wife is trying to get pregnant, and we're worried about, like, the vaccines and, whether or not we should take them while she's, pregnant, and what this could do. And she just basically said to me, Reg, you just need to shut up and just get your vaccine already. And I was like, ooh, no. I was like, no, sorry. Okay, conversation's done, but, I will shut up to you. But that to me was what really kind of, like, made me go, something doesn't smell right here. And it's just, this oppressive regime of do what we say, do not question what we say, and just do as we tell you and act as we tell you. And that's the legacy of this liberal government, is exactly that. When we talk about oppressive regimes and they like to throw out all the references to The Handmaid's Tale, I'm like, no. We're not going to get The Handmaid's Tale. We've already been living through it. Like, you can't leave your house. You can only go in clusters of this many people. Take this vaccine. If you don't, you lose your job, or you can't go buy groceries, or you can't do this, you can't do that. Also, we're going to control all the media and tell you what you can think. Like, it's just all of these things. I'm just like, no. Sorry, we're not getting that. We already had it. We already had bank accounts frozen. We already looked at what that looked like. The courts have already said this is ridiculous. But, you know, c'est la vie, welcome to Canada.
Here we go. Goko Donnie says, Carney's got your back. He'll make sure the red crayon does in fact taste like strawberry. Gary McDonald says, DEI insider Desiree Fixler was on Northern Perspective today. Very damning of Carney. Yes, I actually saw that interview floating around. Seems interesting. David Jejna says, I can feel the tide turning, ladies and gentlemen. Changes in the air. PT93 Music says, MSM is done when Pierre pulls off the upset. Yes, that will be the implosion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. We have people we have to kick out of the chat here. I'm learning. We'll get there. Angus says, big energy to Carney is wind and solar. He never says oil and gas. You're not wrong. Rob Monk. Rob, congratulations, guys. Keep up the good work. Truth is the only medicine for corruption.
Thank you, sir.
And then Just Me Cole says, please flush Jaren Swickle gaslighting the chat.
It's right above her super chat. So.
All right, sweet. I will do that.
We're swinging the ban hammer.
Little's excellent government. Mark Carney, PhD. I love it. Oh, man. Yeah,
just put him in a timeout.
Yeah, here we go for a good time. There we go. I love it. I mean, sometimes it's good to have that, it's one thing to have people in the chat who are like bringing in a different perspective. I'm very much okay with that. If you're just coming to troll, I'll let you troll for a bit because I'm a troll a little bit at heart. But there's a time where, you got to go. The time's done.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at too. It's like, if you have a dissenting voice and it's in good faith, I have all the time in the world for you. I have a friend who is like very pro Carney, very pro globalization, seems to think of himself as a libertarian, but yet doesn't espouse any of the libertarian views. And like immediately is like, I'm a libertarian, but I also think the government should do this, this, and this, and have control of that. I'm like, what? I'm like, that doesn't add up. But we have really good conversations, and like, there's some things he says that makes me think, and I appreciate it. I think that it's always important to have somebody question your views and your values, so that you can make sure that you are kind of standing for what you believe in and what is actually the truth.
Absolutely.
But when you're coming in just to be stupid, I'm like, nope. You
got time for that.
You're here. You're like, yeah, that's fun. I'm like, no, gone.
That's fun. Yeah. I did want to do something before I forget, because I forgot last week. The one thing that we get quiet donations at times through our PayPal link. And I always promise that I always want to address the PayPal donations on live streams, because I feel like that's kind of the best time to do it. And I forgot to do it last week. So we have a list of people we got to get through here. So I want to shout out Fatitude for donating. Appreciate it. Great name. Love it.
That name is amazing.
It's iconic. I'm going to see, make sure. Actually, I'm going to do it this way because I can see if messages or people are accompanying them with messages.
The other thing I want to say too is that, so Josh and I last night, when we were looking up materials on different parts of the stuff that we cover in either the live or during the day when Josh is doing kind of more of those talking head videos, we pay for the subscriptions to different news outlets. We pay for the articles, and we use your donations for that reason. So we really appreciate you donating, because it allows us to do the work that we're doing. It allows us to be informed on all different kind of articles and different sources of information. And so that's literally how we're using the money. So we really appreciate you giving those donations.
$300 for one subscription. That hurt me a little bit, just to find something that was in the public domain.
I was like, oi. Yeah, so
that one hurt.
That story last night was we ended up paying a $300 subscription for a certain article. And then we got to the article and you could literally just like screenshot it in one screenshot. It was that small. And I was like, oh my God, there was something really, really good that we did find from it. And so,
that'll be in tomorrow morning's episode.
Yeah. And so it did lead us down a really, really helpful track. And it actually brought us to a part of the Privy Council that does some very interesting reporting that I didn't know was available. Mm-hmm. And so had we not painfully spent the money, we would have never got to that point. So, yeah, so happy to bring more of that information to you, and happy to actually start speaking to some of those reports that we found. And yeah, unfortunately, the article itself that we paid for wasn't overly useful, but the content that we found that it was linked to, very, very useful, very interesting. And I don't want to spoil it. So watch tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow morning. But Patricia says, blessings, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing the truth. Keep it up. Thank you, Patricia. We have Tony saying, you're doing great work. Thank you. Seth says, congrats on the baby, Josh. Love what you guys are doing. Keep fighting the good fight. Happy Feel Good Friday. Fellow blue-blooded Nova Scotian. Love to see it. Elizabeth Bradley. Ooh. Elizabeth, thank you. Sandra, thank you. Awesome. Dave, you're the man. Thank you. Jeffrey, thank you. Jeff, not to be confused with Jeffrey, donating some cash to us. Tracy doing amazing stuff for us. Daryl says, thank you for all the hard work you do. As a husband and father of 3, I am praying at home and in church for our country. I'll also say a prayer for the 2 of you. Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate it. Fatitude gave us more money.
Oh my God.
It was awesome. Martin says, congratulations on the arrival of your child. You 2 are awesome. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Martin. Sharon dropping cash. Paul saying, support the biggest fight of our lifetime. Elevate your minds. The original Pauly D. There you go. Brad says, awesome work, Josh and Reg. Mary says, I was moved with Friday's episode, which is like a few weeks ago, where I literally cried live. That was rough, but here we are. Because the 2 of you reflect what I and many Canadians are feeling at this time. I've been sharing your podcast with my friends and family, and that I thank you, Mary, a lot. Mariana says, thank you for doing this. Wendy dropping cash. Canada, ES says, thank you for the amazing work. Janani says, I saw your podcast sold out. Oh, I saw your podcast entitled Sold Us Out. Just wanted you to know that I'm an immigrant from Sri Lanka, and I love this country as much as you do, and I hate what the Liberals have done to it, which is really awesome.
I was kind of worried there. I was like, they're calling us sellouts?
Me too.
Here's some money, you sellout. You
Dance for me. Patty says, keep up the great work. Lauren says, your podcast is top notch. Independent media is what is needed here in our country, and it's the most important than ever before. Keep up the great work, Josh and Reg. And Karen says, hey, Josh, love your show. Brad dropping cash. Randall dropping cash. Chris says, keep up the great work. Love the passion you bring. Oh, we're almost there, folks. Nalene says, love you guys. Feel the heart and soul every day. Ever in your corner. Thank you. Really appreciate that, Nalene. Rose says, love your podcast. Nice to hear the real news from unadulterated, relevant people. Keep up the good work. Edmund says, thank you so much for your efforts. Please keep up the great work. And Paul says, seeing you at the Fredericton rally, didn't get a chance to say hi, but wanted to say thank you. My wife and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. And last one is Jolanta says, nothing, just dropping cash, and we appreciate that very much. Sorry for that, folks, but I've been putting that off for 3 weeks, and I needed to make sure, it felt good in my heart to make sure I gave a shout out to the people that were sacrificing financially for us, because you really don't need to, but it means the world.
Agreed. I mean, we know how hard everybody's being taxed right now. Yeah. So the fact that you would give us some of your after-tax dollars is really, it really appreciates it. And like I said, we do use it for good things, and
$300 subscriptions for news. We're here for it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to CBC. That's all that matters. They already took our money for that.
Yeah. That was the one thing you have to realize, guys, when we were talking about this last night, it was like painful. We were like, okay, well, it's a subscription for the year, so it's like it's less than $1 a day, and we're like, is this the best use of the funds? But like I said, it did all work out in the end. We did end up finding, like I said, that link to the Privy Council reports, which are going to be really, really interesting to dig into, and especially I'm still trying, guys. I'm working hard.
Dude. S's are tough.
Yeah, I know. They're especially tough for me. My tongue is tied a little bit farther than I'd like it to be. But basically, we are looking at that data, looking at Statistics Canada data, looking at Polera data, looking at all the different indices and indexes. And it's really interesting when you start to paint the picture with all of them together, because individually they're powerful. But I think that when you actually start to paint the picture together, and some of these are actually forecasting into the future of what they think might come, it's really interesting. I think that it really kind of paints this path of like multiple futures we could go this way, or we could go this way, or we could go this way. And it really depends on how the leadership goes, right?
And who you vote for. Yeah, we're looking forward to kind of doing that. Again, that'll be tomorrow morning's episode, because here's the story, folks. Here's the reason why there was no episode this morning. I was up I usually start researching my show at 9:30 local time PM. I look to record by about 11 o'clock PM for the 7 a.m. episode. Last night, I was researching from 9:30 till 12:30. Me and Reg hopped on a call here and there, trying to figure things out, how we're going to bring this together, because there was so much that happened yesterday. I'm like, where do we go with this? It's kind of crazy. And there's all these documents and studies. And I'm like, oh, but we finally figured it out. I'm like, I'm going to pull it together. And then I hop in the studio, sit right here, and my streaming software crashed for 30 minutes straight. Just kept crashing. By the time I finally got it up, it was like 1:15 in the morning. I was like, I'm not getting this done till 3. I'm going to shut this down, and I'm just going to record this and post it for the following morning, because I'm exhausted and I was mentally frustrated.
The other part of it too, though, you have to make sure that you've still got some energy there, because you could be a dad any day, and you could be driving to a hospital. So it's not going to be good if you're only 2 hours into sleep.
That's what I'm saying. Is I can't afford to be in sleep debt before the child comes. It's tough. It's tough out here,
because you're there in that hospital for like hours, and you
push it already,
and you can't say anything because they're doing all the work.
Yeah.
You might be exhausted and wiped, but you're support, so you need to be supportive. So you got to
just hurry up already.
I'm sure they're saying that too.
Get out. Horse Lake Ranch says, howdy from Saskatchewan. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, dude. Trish says, nice seeing in Clyde's chat. Love your show. Keep up the great work. Yeah, I love popping in Clyde's chat from time to time. Clyde went down to Texas and has this beautiful studio, and he flew Wyatt down for it. I was like, where was my invite? I would have loved to fly down for that. It would have been fun. Faye says, great podcast. Let's go Conservatives. Provo20 says, took my lefty buddy for lunch and sang Flash Gordon theme by Queen with all the Flash lyrics replaced within Pierre Polyev until his mind broke. What did you do to this man?
Oh my God.
You guys are crazy. And T-Bear says, when is Pierre coming to Nova Scotia? Great question. I don't know if he will.
I don't know.
I imagine, because it's like one of his significant shadow ministers are here, I imagine he has to come. But I understand it's a very tight campaign, and there's a lot of places they have to visit before they come here.
Yeah, I don't know, because he already came to Nova Scotia. He came to the Marriott previously
a year ago.
So I don't know if he'll come again. So
tough to say.
It'll be tough to say. If he comes again, we'll make sure that we'll try and get an audience with him and see what his team says. But again, I don't know if he'll come to Halifax. I think that there's quite a few spots that he needs to hit. And I don't know if Halifax is really the market for him right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, it's true. Keep your stick on the ice. So 17,000 people watched the pleb last night at the Polyev rally. We love the work that you do, Elev8. Yeah, no, it was crazy how many people he got on his stream. It was unreal. My husband and doctor had a long chat when I was in for my first lol. True. He is supposed to come again, they're saying. Yeah, we'll see. I guess I have to look. I haven't also checked the events page in a bit. So
whip it up there. Let's see.
Let's do it. Let's have some fun, shall we? I'll do it. All right. He's in the Sioux tonight, which we are counter programming currently. He's in Brampton, Kitchener, Windsor, and that's all as far as we know so far.
Yep.
Oops, I didn't share that, but there you go, folks. So yeah, we don't know. We'll see. He went to Fredericton.
He went to PEI.
He did go to PEI. That's why I found it so interesting. I understand the travel distance is shorter. May as well just do it that way. But I did find it interesting that they hit PEI, New Brunswick, and just ex-Nate, Nova Scotia.
They're like, nope, that's the land of Sean Fraser, and that's the land of what's his name? Our mayor right now. I can't remember his name.
Andy Fillmore.
Yeah, Andy Fillmore.
Screw that guy. The guy quit on as being an MP and wanted to be a mayor, and he sucks at being a mayor too. What a guy.
I find it so funny that he thought that he could basically take control by becoming mayor and not realizing that municipal politics works a lot differently.
Yeah. And he's like, I can't do what Justin Trudeau did? Dang it.
Yeah. He gets in there and the councilor's just like, nah, we don't think that's a good idea. And he's like, what? I am the mayor. And they're like,
Don't care.
cool. Good for you.
He'll be a one-term mayor, I guarantee you.
Yeah. Well, no, because I mean, he has to have employment. So.
Oh, right. Yeah, he can't go anywhere after that awful situation. Here's the thing, folks. Here's an update that I need to give you guys. We are currently, let's just make sure we get this correct here. We're currently less than 200 subs away from hitting 100,000. And people thinking that we're going to hit it is going down. It was 99%. People gone down to 91%. People are losing faith on this chat. Losing faith in the stream that we're going to hit it on the stream. Quite frankly, I'm right there with you. I don't think it's going to happen, but Reg thinks it does. And this is the battle we're having. Do you want to be Team Reg or be on Team Josh on this one? Well, we'll see. I'm just trying to be realistic. Some people say I'm being negative. I don't know.
No. So this is what got you in trouble with your bet with Clyde.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to happen on the stream.
Jasper.
Jasper. Sorry. Yeah. Jasper, not Clyde. Yeah. I think,
You think it'll happen on stream?
I don't think it'll happen on the stream, but I do think it will happen before you have your baby. So
I agree. I actually think we'll probably hit it by end of day tomorrow. I'm just surprised we got up there that quick. If I'm being quite honest, things kind of popped real quick when you start putting out videos that are getting 100,000 plus views that we've never seen before in our lives. I was like, oh, those subs are coming in real hot. So,
well, you guys, we clipped that one piece from the live, like last week.
Yeah, last week.
And that one hit almost 200K.
Did it?
Yeah, it was 199 the last I looked at it. I was like, what?
No way.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at that.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
No. I looked at that and I was like, holy crap, maybe I should put out some more educational content, I guess.
Holy crap, it's over 200,000 now.
Yeah.
Gee, look at you go.
I know, right?
Look at you go. People love that stuff.
Professor Reg in here.
Holy smokes.
Once I finish that PhD, maybe. But
yeah, seriously. Goko Donnie says the Maple Marxist Party needs to lose huge. Oh my gosh. I guess, hey, throw it back at them, eh? Maple MAGA, Maple Marxist, here we go. Libby T says, been watching your show about a month now. Thanks for your great podcast. The Chinese interference is not being reported much by mainstream. Quite worrying.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get
talk
into
about
it,
that.
shall we? Because that one will get me going for hours at this point. It is bonkers to me seeing the whole, like, we're going to fight the United States, screw their tariffs, screw Trump, screw Americans, we're going to take it to them. And the tariffs are going to ruin us. We're going to make sure we support workers. China just quietly comes in with, I'm going to put 100% tariffs on canola oil, and I'm going to put tariffs on this, and this.
Seafood, another one.
Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. Crickets. It's a little too quiet in here, folks. And now I'm going to do some ASMR because that's how quiet it's been from Mark Carney on China. China. That's what's happening right now. Absolutely quiet. It's insane because, well, we know that he's compromised. We know he's bought by China. And he doesn't want to. He went to Beijing, met with the mayor of Beijing 3 months before he became prime minister of Canada. You don't think he's compromised? That's kind of weird that he made a trip to China before taking his position here. A little weird, a little odd. And the fact that China's involved in our politics, involved with foreign interference, involved with the Liberal Party of Canada, involved with Justin Trudeau, and involved with Pierre Trudeau, it is very wild and weird how the long storied history between China and the Liberal Party of Canada, and nothing from Mark Carney, because I'm going to call it what it is. I'm being inflammatory. I know I'm being ridiculous, but I'm going to call him what it is. Commie Carney.
So what I find interesting about this too is it's not so much like I expect the media not to say anything. I expect the Liberal Party not to say anything about it. But what I find interesting is the fact that like my left friends, when I ask them about it, they're like, yeah, like it's not great, but I mean, like he can't help that they, put out this ad to support him because, he's probably going to be easier on China. So like they're just acting in their best interest right now. So, I mean, that's just how it is. And I was like, if this was the other team, you'd be losing your mind right now.
Well, they actually did. They actually kicked out 2 members for perceived election interference. But it happens to Mark Carney. Oh, it's all good. No, he can stay in as long as he wants. It's all good. Get out of my face, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Chandra, you got to go.
Oh.
That sucks. That sucks a lot. We're back. We're back. That was wild. I think I was screwing around with the chords too much there.
I don't know. This happened the last time too. Whenever we brought up the topic of China, like the YouTube always dies. And I know that it's like maybe we're just getting too excited and the hands are moving too much. But like,
you know what?
It always happens.
I'm not saying the word China anymore. I'm not saying it. I'm going to be bilingual and be calling Chinois. We're going La Chine, Chinois. That's what we're going to be going on from here. Hopefully Google doesn't kill us on that. But it's, I was going on a tangent about this. Oh yeah. You kicked out Chandra. You kicked out, Ruby Dalla on suspicions of foreign interference, not evidence, suspicions. We have cold hard evidence of election interference involving Mark Carney, not just during the general election. Oh yeah. Also with Chrystia Freeland in the Liberal leadership race. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's crazy.
I had my first experience though with somebody go, did you hear that Mark Carney was targeted?
No.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I was like, no, he was supported. No, I read the article. He was targeted.
You did not read the article.
Yeah. No,
They're
you
all
did not.
liars. Yeah. Because I know you're going to say this because we know when you can tell when people have read the article when they're not, because you actually read the articles, they actually are honest to a degree in the article, but they make sure they try to deceive you at the headline because that's all people do is headline read. It's wild. And then they put the truth buried down at the bottom of the last two paragraphs.
Yeah, exactly. So even if people are skimming, they run the risk of missing it.
Oh yeah.
And I blame the fact that people are just so busy. People are so tired. You're taxed to death. You're working 3 jobs just to kind of be able to afford your home and food. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have time to sit there and read every single article, right? Yeah. So I get it. I empathize, but the problem is that they're putting out these misleading titles and then people are reading that and believing that that's a story. So I thought that was interesting. I was like, I almost said his name, but I was like, sir, actually go back and read that article. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, read the article. And so he was like, I read the article. And then it was like that ding. And I was like, no, you didn't. You very obviously didn't. And then he came back and he's like, well, I read most of it. I just didn't get to the part where, I guess, it does look bad, but like it wasn't like he didn't pay for anybody to do that. Like, they just did that to him. And it might be because like, they were actually trying to get Pierre elected. So that it was like this reverse like psychology thing where and I was like, no, you're not doing this right now. Like, we're not doing that. Like, oh man, this is reverse psychology that they're trying to help Carney by not help Carney somehow. I was like, oh my God,
dude,
the pretzeling is amazing.
Dude, I'm literally at that point. I'm at the era in my life right now where I'm so ruthless with my friends on these issues. Whenever they bring up something, I like something like that, where it's like, it's so easily verifiable that it was incorrect. I'm just like, no, that's not correct. He's like, no, it is. I'm like, no, pull up the article. Let's look at it together. We'll do it. Like, Josh, no, I'm telling you. Okay, here's my friend. It's not like I don't do this for a living right now. I do this and work on this stuff every day and I read through everything. Trust me, you're wrong on this. I love you. But you're incorrect on this one. And then we'll go through. It's like, oh, shoot, man. Yeah, dang, you're right. I'm like, stop doubting me, man. I'm not a crazy guy who just like spouts off on the internet because I want to hear myself talk. I'm not like, there's some creators who do that. I don't do that. I have my bias. I have my viewpoint, but it is an informed viewpoint. And you can disagree with my opinion, but you can't disagree with the facts.
Which facts though, Josh? Which facts? Are you believing in science or are you not? Are you believing the misinformation? Like that's the thing that I'm getting hit with all the time.
Yeah, man.
Like I'm the one that blew my mind. It was, I'm deeply disappointed in you, Reg. You have so much education behind you. You're so well read, so well learned. And the fact that you would fall for this, it makes me question your integrity. I'm like, no, what?
Not the integrity.
Like, the weird kind of like trying to shame, but like also trying to compliment at the same time. And like, I was like, ugh, I don't like any of this. Like, what are you doing right now?
True.
So yeah, it's weird times out there.
All right, I'm going through. There's a couple general chats right now that are cracking me up. There was one who said, "You want to talk?" Okay, I messed it. But there was someone who said that is the baby drop and 100,000 subs reached on Polymarket right now?
It should be. I've been winning.
That'd be unreal. There was just one here. I believe Rubidala had more votes than Carney. I would agree that probably would have happened. Fuzzy Sock says, I'm drinking the exact same water right now. I'm like, yeah, love to see it. Roseanne says, thanks guys for everything you're doing, bringing truth and facts. Great job. We appreciate it. And then we had Reality Shannon come in the chat. Shout out Reality Shannon. Go check out her TikTok page. If you're on TikTok, she's amazing. She says, I feel like you could make a drinking game out of how often Josh says holy jumping. Yeah, you probably could.
You could also add jabroni to that list as well.
Yo, there's a list. There's a list.
And that laugh that I think is stolen from Dalton.
And that is, I keep that laugh only for Dalton.
Yeah.
No one on this chat really knows who he is, but he was my OG co-host. And he laughed that way on the podcast. And then literally, no word of lie. It wasn't intentional, but it happened anyways. When we split ways and he went to do his own thing, I love Dalton so much that I ended up adopting his laugh. And I still have it to this day. And that is what he left me with and the show with. So here we go.
Yeah. I think mine would be screwing up every word with an S in it. Basically.
That'd be iconic. All right. So Kathy Sharp says, you need to allow people to donate subscriptions. Here's the thing is we don't have subscriptions. There's a reason for that. And it's because YouTube, and this is the thing that sucks, especially super chats, but we appreciate them anyways, is YouTube takes 25% of all money you give the show. So we try to avoid that because we want to maximize your dollars like a good conservative government should. And so what we have is we have our PayPal link, and you can donate. You can donate directly to that if you're interested in that. Make sure your dollars maximize and help the show. And that's what we tend to like to kind of direct people to, because we only lose 2% of that versus 25% of that. So that's where we tend to direct people to. And you know what? I'm just going to kind of pull that link up here fairly soon, and we're just going to pin it up for the homies. People, hey, you want to donate? You want to see maximum impact for your dollars? Go there. Sharag T says, small thank you for your time that you commit to your podcast. Wishing you the best for the baby on the way. Thank you, Sharag. Means the world. You're the man. You the man. While I pin this PayPal link, Reg, do you want to take on the show for now?
Yeah, so I think that there's some announcements coming up too about the show, just so that people are aware.
No,
with Josh.
No, don't announce
we
it.
We need to celebrate him.
We're not doing this.
Yeah. Put me back on there. We're gonna celebrate this man. When that baby comes out, I want everybody to send the show and the Instagram like happy baby day, Josh. Congrats on being a new dad, because I want him to be flooded with love on that day, because it is going to be game changing, and he's going to be tired, because I know that man is going to come back to us and come with those new dad eyes and be right back in this, because he loves it. So make sure that we'll let you know when that happens, so that you can send him all the love.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate that. And yeah, I'm not going to lie. I've had to have this long conversation with my significant other. I'm like, yeah, we're going to be taking a handful of days off when the day comes, but we're in an election cycle right now, and I'm trying to fight for my child out here, man. I'm trying to fight for his rights to party. And, but you know, we're just, you know, but at the end of the day, this is, you know, about my kids and having a better future than myself, not having a crappy future for the next 5 years, as our government is saying. And so that's the whole issue. But like it was a battle, it's a fight, and I'm like, Kelsey, just let me get back in the saddle. We'll finish off the election cycle. Election night will be done. I'll take 2 weeks off after, and then it'll be all good. She's like, fine, okay, for Canada.
Yeah, I'm glad that she agreed to that.
It took a lot of conversations, but we got there eventually. If you want to donate, there you go, folks. Let's see if I can. We're going to pin that. All right. Tran Vinh Hue says, first Vietnamese generation to support Pierre Poilievre. Good luck for tonight, 100,000 viewers. Oh, man. Vietnamese. First gen. Love to see it, man. Welcome to Canada. Thanks for voting Pierre Poilievre. Let's go.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I think that kind of like touches on some of these points too, around like what people believe that conservatives are and what people actually know conservatives are. Like conservatives are not anti-immigration.
Yeah.
We like immigrants in Canada.
We
like proper immigration.
Yep.
When you come through the proper channels and you're here to be a part of the country and be a part of the fabric of Canada, we love that. Bring the best things from your country, leave the bad behind you, and bring the best things to this country and make it better. I think that's fantastic. It's when you have a liberal government that just says, send us everyone, the good people who we can't wait to have here and welcome with open arms. And then also these people who are sneaking under student visas and trying to weasel their way in every which way, which actually really ticks off a lot of the immigrant community who have come here under all the proper channels and said, I worked hard to become a Canadian, and you're just letting all these people weasel in and overwhelm the system. So this is the difference. And this is what I kind of get really annoyed with the PPC is like, they're like, stop all immigration, zero immigration is the way we go. And people kind of like latch onto that a bit. It's like, no, that's not the way forward. We still want good people to come to our country. We just need to do it in a way that's respectful of not only the citizens who are here, but respectful to the people who are coming, so that they know that they're going to have a job, they're going to have a house, they're going to have proper healthcare, they're going to have proper education. They're going to have the things that we enjoy, because we have not overrun the system with people.
Dude, Caravaca podcast, dropping some dollars on the homies. Wish you all success and happiness, Josh. That, my friends, is Kushal, great friend of the show. Love him to death. And I'm going to quote him right now, because one of the greatest quotes he ever dropped on the show, and I was interviewing him months ago, he talking about this issue again with immigration or immigrants and Canadians, and how BC somehow, some way voted the NDP back in. And he's like, do you think, again, and he's, from India, spent 6 months in Mumbai, I think it was Mumbai, 6 months here in Windsor, Ontario. And he says, Josh, hear me out. I'm talking to my people on the ground over in BC. Do you think we're the ones voting NDP? No, it's the damn white people voting in the NDP and voting against their own interests. We vote conservative every dang time. I was like, true. Oh, he smokes. I love it. It's amazing. Oh, I love Kushal. He's the man. But I do actually want to clarify one thing on the PPC stance. This is where it kind of gets blurry. Is they want a moratorium on immigration. Mm-hmm. They say they'll lift it if they ever get into power, which they won't. But that's what they're saying. But I agree with the latter, where a moratorium on immigration actually isn't viable. It's not a good policy. And who is the most famous for, I don't know, saying we're going to build the wall, we're going to make sure people come in legally. They're going to come in legally. Even Donald Trump didn't put a moratorium on immigration. He said, no, we need to make sure we usher people out who are here illegally and make sure we incentivize people who did come here legally and build a better system. And that was Donald Trump, the one that everyone in this country hates, apparently. And so the PPC is going to say, we're going to put a moratorium. Terrible policy. It's not viable. Like, you'll kill your country doing that. So, anyways.
I don't know if you saw the White House press secretary addressing comments from the American media on the fact that they had put out ICE videos. And there was one that was to the tune of closing time. Yeah. And she was like, I don't understand what you're talking about. I think it was the perfect song to put there. She said, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And then she just like mic drops it. And I'm like, that was incredible. Like, say what you want about the Americans. They have some pizzazz when it comes to things like that.
Dude, that was rough. And I was like, especially they're doing thirst traps for their ice team. I was like, bro, yeah. This is so American on so many levels. I can't with it. It's actually crazy. Oh man. David Edwards says Poilievre had more people in the Sault tonight than Carney gets in big cities. Sault Ste. Marie is a small city in northern Ontario. It's way smaller than Thunder Bay, and you're not wrong. Yes, I have family from the Sault. And that was a big turnout tonight up there, and he's getting the people going. And I find this is the thing with the rallies, especially if you're watching them live, is yes, Poilievre is pretty much saying the same thing multiple times. It's not really about what Poilievre is saying at this point in the campaign. It's about the electricity he garners amongst the people. Like, that's the experience people are going for, is being with people who are excited and hopeful for a better country, which I think is the experience people want.
Well, it's the hope, right? Mm-hmm. You said it right there. It's the fact that it's like, okay, we can see a way out of this. We have the minerals in the ground. We have like one of the largest oil reserves in the world, this side of Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. Like, we have the tools and the people and the resources and everything at our disposal to actually truly be the richest in the G7. We have it here, and we don't have a population that's too massive that we could actually enrich ourselves with the royalties off these resources, especially if we do what he's said around taking those natural resources, refining them here in Canada, creating add value products instead of just shipping out the raw materials to the rest of the world and having them make the money off of it. So we could be that wealthy. And I think that Pierre Poilievre is absolutely correct in that messaging. And I think that's what's resonating, is the fact that we've been under the liberal thumb for so long with everything just being taxed out of us. And when you walk down the streets and you see tent cities that never existed, and you see lineups to food banks. I remember we were on the phone last night and I did the math. And I was like, almost 25%, I think it was 23% of the Canadian population is using food banks.
Gee.
Like, that's 10 million people.
Yeah.
That's more than the province of Ontario.
That's insane.
Like, that's absurd.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this going, okay, if this is how the Canadian people are feeling right now, and you have a message of hope there, like, I'm looking at this going, okay, what am I going to gravitate to? And I know that there is a lot of people buying into the fear, but that's what I'm excited about when I see that, okay, there's some good policies on the horizon here that could actually pull us out of this mess, support programs like healthcare, childcare, proper pharmacare for people. I've often said that this is where the NDP kind of like frustrates the hell out of me, is that pharmacare on a national level, I think, would be a good play, because I think that we could actually create economies of scale with these massive drug companies. And you could actually use the universities that we have in our own country to help develop new drugs and new treatments, kind of using the system within our country. But the problem is that the NDP was just like, we're just going to run this through Sun Life, and we're just going to ingratiate the already wealthy and the big pharma with even more money. And so that's why I get annoyed when it's like, the idea of pharmacare is not a bad one. It was the execution and how they laid it out. It's the same thing that I hear so much about these 15-minute cities all the time coming out of the WEF. And it's like, the idea of having all your amenities near you within 15 minutes is not a harmful idea. The problem is that in the execution of this, they're going to say, well, in order to make that possible, we need to remove the single family home. And if we remove the single family home, we'll replace it with a rental instead. And then you can have subscriptions to all these different things. Yeah. And basically the people who own all these other things and all the building blocks for life, like food, shelter, water, that you're now subscribed to, they can set the pricing on all this stuff. And if you don't like it and you speak out against it, sorry, you're out in the street, and we'll put the next person in your spot. So that's the problem with the 15-minute cities. It's not the idea that, having walkable communities with amenities and things.
Ridiculous.
You didn't touch anything there.
No, that was China. That was Chinois. La Chine. That was Chine.
But yeah, like I say, like, the ideas and the concepts are not bad. It's the execution, it's the intention, I think, behind them that's bad. And that's where I get frustrated, because I'm like, you can take a really well thought out idea, well thought out plan, and just completely ruin it by putting it into the hands of
the NDP,
and the conservative, or sorry, not the conservatives, the liberals and the NDP.
Yep. They have something to do with money these days. People's dropping mad cash in the PayPal as we've been talking. Jolanta dropping cash. Tina dropping cash. Randy dropping cash with a statement says, keep up the good work. And Cortina is also dropping cash. Thank you for the cash. And I think between the super chats and this, we just paid for our $300 subscription from last night. Let's go.
Thanks so much, guys. I know we keep beating that horse a little bit right now. It was a hard decision to make.
It was painful. I was like, I hope I get a lot of use out of this, and I hope you're able to give back to you. Watch tomorrow's episode. I promise you'll enjoy it. And I think this will be a good teaser as we end off the live and go into tomorrow morning's episode. But I'll ask you this question, Reg. We've been really heavy focused. We're in an election right now. A lot of crazy stuff going on. But from your perspective, what do you think Donald Trump is trying to accomplish with all these tariffs on the whole world?
I was reading a bit about it, and I tend to believe the idea that he's trying to reshape the global economy. I really believe that. And it is protectionism. And we're already watching what's happening to Chinese markets. We're seeing what's happening to global currencies. I think he's really trying to put strength back into the American dollar. It's going to be painful, just like any kind of weight loss program when you're cutting the fat. But I think that they'll actually emerge stronger out of this. And I think that that's really what he's doing, is he's reshaping global markets right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now also we've been seeing within the past 15, 20 years is we've been seeing this globalization taking place of, we're just going to kind of strip the strength out of the superpower of the world and try to disperse it to other countries. That's kind of what we've been seeing. And so we're trying to make everyone team up and all this. And so essentially it's the globalist agenda versus a nationalist agenda. And that's what we're seeing is 15 to 20 years of this happening. And now Trump's going to try and try to undo all that work within 2 years. So to your point, it's going to be painful. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now is he's trying to reshape the world order essentially. And that's going to be a little rough.
Well, because it wasn't heading the way it wasn't heading in America in the first way. Like they were borrowing so much money from other countries. And basically they were going to either get to a point where they had to make this kind of a dramatic change and drastic change, or they were going to owe so much to other countries that they'll never pay back. They'll just go to war about it, and then we'll end up in another war. So I think what I've seen of Trump is that he's very anti-war because dead people don't pay, and he's a businessman. So I think that for anything, he's anti-war. And so by doing this is basically him kind of protecting America from needing to basically enter a war because they can't afford their debts.
Yeah. It's almost like a great reset.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that. A great reset, but not the one they thought was coming.
Yeah, exactly. And we're witnessing it happen in real time, and we're seeing it happening within our election too. And I'll leave it at that because it kind of bleeds a little bit into what tomorrow's episode is going to be about. But we're excited. I'm really excited. We're going to hit the general chat here to finish off. We talked about this. There's a fairly good chance that the Conservatives win, but they win a minority, and they'll have to team up with the Bloc, which is a pairing we didn't see coming. So what do you think a Bloc and Conservative coalition could look like?
So I know we kind of touched on that the other day. I think that if you see a Bloc Conservative coalition, I think you'll see a lot of power go back to the provinces. I think you'll see a lot of power around immigration go back to the provinces, because that's the big one for Quebec right now. They are very upset by the amount of immigration that they're seeing from folks who are not speaking French and folks who have no intention of ever learning French. And they're looking at this going, like for them, that's their big issue in Quebec is immigration, language, culture. So I think that that's what you would see happen there. There'd be like some room given to the provinces on immigration, which I think actually would be wonderful if we could see that. I think that provinces should be allowed to determine who comes in and who goes out, and also what preference they give people based on the need of that province. So yeah, I think that would be a big one. I think that you'd see some softening around certain restrictions on aluminum, steel, lumber, and milk products for sure.
Big one. Yeah.
So I think that you'd see conversations happen immediately with the Americans on those subjects, and I think you'd still see the pipeline happen though. I think that there's enough folks in northern Quebec that see the benefit of this, the oil coming to their refineries and the possibility for an industrious Quebec, that I think that you'd still see Energy East happen. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. We just got a plethora came in. Brad came in saying, word to the wise, remember Pearl Harbor. Yes, we will. Stefan Landry says, hey fellas, greatest show as per usual. Keep it up. Need Atlanta, Canada to step up for our young people. Go, Pierre, go. You know what? You get a heart for that. Thank you, Stefan. We appreciate it. Cher says, just a little bump for that little bundle. Oh man, thank you, man. $70 for the homies. Love it.
I love the little baby face that
Yeah,
put in there too.
I
That's
like
awesome. Thanks, Cher.
Yeah. David Edwards says, I should have added to any Northerners out to see a politician speak is a miracle in itself. We Northerners simply don't trust politicians and reject any authority by birthright. That's an interesting perspective.
Would it be a Northern perspective?
Nice. Love that.
Yeah.
Great play there. Great play. It's interesting. We'll kind of see how, well, Fred says there's not enough likes on this live stream, guys. We need to fix that. I actually don't even know what we're at. I don't even have the stats in front of me, but increase the likes. We'd appreciate it. It means the world. Any last thoughts, Reg, before we finish off tonight's live stream?
Get out and vote.
Yeah. Early voting's open.
Vote conservative, vote often. I know that you'll hear a lot of people on other podcasts be like, I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you who to vote for. I need this country to be okay. So I am telling you who to vote for. Vote conservative, vote often, get your friends out to vote. Do not think that everything is going to be okay if you leave it to the general population, because the multi-billion-dollar propaganda machine is working overtime. So we need to fight that with grassroots energy, like what you're seeing at these rallies. So get out to vote conservative, vote often.
Yep. And to add that to the general chat here, Coconut says also vote with friends. Vote with friends is also very important. Aimbot Sammy says in Quebec, rent and salaries is greater than language and culture. Is that what that means? Or is that the opposite? I always forget how that works.
Yeah, they're saying it's greater.
Interesting. Get out there and vote, folks. Let's make this too big to rig. There's a lot of nonsense going on. I know there's actually been some conversations. Jasmine brought this up on X the other day of people saying, I don't know, I can't trust these ballots, can't trust our how these things work and counting votes. I'm like, I'll be honest, I think our systems in terms of vote counting is fine. It's everything that's leading up to the ballot box that I'm very concerned about. The pollsters, the media, the lies, the cover-ups. Those are things that sway public opinion. And that's the type of interference, China. That's the type of interference I've been really worried about. And that's the stuff that we got to keep fighting against, keep our voices loud, and keep going strong. And Reg has something else to say.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I know we want to end this, but one last thing. Did you see the protest, not protest vote, but protest candidacy that's happening in Pierre Poilievre's riding?
Yeah.
They have 94 candidates on that ballot.
Yeah.
Wild. And then what I thought was interesting is that they said they're not doing the same in Carney's riding.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, we missed the deadline. It was an accident. We were totally planning on mobilizing and doing the same in that. I was like, it's possible. I can give you the benefit of the doubt. It's possible. But I was just like,
yeah, not adding up. Greg D says, good work, Elev8. We watch your cast for the people we watch your podcast for the hope you deliver. CPC for Canada's sake. 100%. And just make sure nothing else is coming in here. We're good there. Let's make it too big to rig. Let's have some fun, folks. Let's keep it light as much as it's serious. And these are big issues. Don't forget your humanity. Keep your humor. Laugh at things that need to be laughed at. When Mark Carney says something stupid, laugh at him. And Adam Van Koorden says something really dumb like he did today, laugh at him. Oh, sorry. The point I was making is, I already made my point. We're all good. We're all good. I will see you tomorrow morning talking some craziness that's going down from our government institutions, saying that they're predicting that for the next 5 years, Canadians' lives are only going to get worse. So if you have a baby this week, your child's life is actually going to be worse off in 5 years than yours is currently. And that is a big document and bombshell report that we're going to expose tomorrow. But anyways, whatever it is you're doing, whether you be hanging out with friends,
going to get some groceries,
or just chilling out on the water or walking through the field prairies, whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are, we love you. We're out. Peace.